For over 600 years, the Voynich Manuscript has remained one of the most baffling mysteries in the world of literature and cryptography. Scholars, cryptographers, physicists, and even modern computer scientists have all attempted to crack its code, but every single one of them has hit a dead end. Despite the countless theories and interpretations that have surfaced over the centuries, this mysterious manuscript continues to evade understanding. Recently, however, a researcher from Germany has boldly claimed to have finally decoded what might be the most mysterious book ever written. So, what does the manuscript say? And more importantly, does this recent discovery truly reveal its secrets? Let's dive into this enigma and explore the hidden layers behind this elusive book. Before we unravel the recent claims, it's essential to understand why the Voynich Manuscript has captured the imagination of so many experts and enthusiasts alike. This medieval codex consists of roughly 240 pages, written in an unknown language and accompanied by strange, otherworldly illustrations. The drawings feature plants that don't seem to exist in any known botanical records, astrological symbols that appear to have their own unique interpretations, and many depictions of naked women. That last detail alone has left many puzzled, adding another layer of curiosity to the manuscript's enigma. But what is it about this book that makes it so impenetrable? From the outside, it seems like a bizarre piece of medieval art. But there's something about the script, a flow of characters and symbols that looks structured, as if they are part of a language with meaning. Yet, despite the best efforts of some of the greatest minds in history, no one has been able to figure out what the Voynich Manuscript is trying to say. Historians have carefully categorized the Voynich Manuscript into 4 primary sections based on its content: herbal, astrological, pharmacological, and biological. Each section appears to focus on different themes, yet they all share one common trait. None of them make any sense at first glance. The herbal section is perhaps the most visually striking. It's filled with intricate illustrations of unknown plants, their leaves twisting into peculiar shapes, sometimes dripping as if they've just been picked from an alien garden. These plants have no counterparts in the real world, and their surreal forms raise the question, could these have been inspired by hallucinations or even substances from the era? One of the illustrations even shows a strange reptilian creature that looks like a cross between a dragon and a seahorse, munching on one of these bizarre plants. It's hard not to wonder what was going through the mind of the artist behind these pages. Moving on to the biological section, things only get stranger. The Voynich Manuscript is notorious for its fascination with women, particularly nude women in a variety of bathtubs. But these aren't just ordinary bathtubs. Some have windows, others resemble anatomical shapes like ovaries, and a few are connected by winding pipes that look like underground rivers. This has led many to speculate about the meaning behind these illustrations. Could it be some kind of ancient medical text focused on women's health? Or perhaps a symbolic representation of fertility and life? Historians have puzzled over this section for centuries, but the answer remains elusive. All we know for sure is that these drawings are unlike anything else found in medieval texts. Then there's the astrological section. Here, the pages open up into large fold-out charts of the night sky, displaying constellations that seem familiar: Pisces, Taurus, Sagittarius, but with a strange twist. The stars and planets are arranged in ways that don't quite match the traditional astrological charts we know today. Adding to the mystery, many of the astrological diagrams are interwoven with yet more drawings of naked women, this time holding stars or emerging from tubular shapes. Could these be symbolic of mythological figures, or do they represent something even more obscure, perhaps tied to ancient beliefs about the cosmos? Some researchers have speculated that the astrological section holds the key to unlocking the manuscript's meaning, as astrology was a major part of medieval science and could provide clues to its purpose. The pharmacological section of the manuscript is where we find a more text-heavy portion of the book. Voynichese, the term given to the language used in the manuscript, is written from left to right, and although it has never been deciphered, it seems to follow a set of grammatical rules. Researchers have determined that there are between 20 to 25 distinct letters in this script, which implies that it could be a legitimate language. or at least a highly developed code. Despite these observations, no one has been able to fully crack the code. In 1960, renowned cryptanalyst Elizabeth Friedman, after years of studying the manuscript, famously stated that anyone who tries to decode it is doomed to utter frustration. Her words have echoed through the decades as numerous experts, with all their advanced tools and technology, have failed to make significant progress. The theories surrounding the Voynich Manuscript are as varied as they are intriguing. Some suggest that it was written by a secret society of philosophers, who encrypted their knowledge so that only the initiated could understand it. Others have wilder ideas, like the possibility that it was created by extraterrestrials. The argument here is that the language used in the manuscript doesn't resemble anything found on Earth, and the star charts, which don't align with known constellations, could depict another planet's night sky. But perhaps the most outlandish theory involves time travel. According to this idea, the manuscript was created by someone from the future who traveled back in time, leaving behind this cryptic artifact. While these theories may sound far-fetched, they only add to the mystique of the Voynich Manuscript, keeping it a subject of endless debate and fascination. In June of this year, a German Egyptologist named Rainer Hartig claimed to have finally cracked the Voynich code. After extensive study, Hartig concluded that the manuscript's language is based on Hebrew. He proposed that the text is a form of Semitic language, and given the European imagery in the illustrations, he narrowed down the possibilities to Arabic, Aramaic, or Hebrew. Hartig's breakthrough came when he identified similarities between certain characters in Voynichese and the Hebrew alphabet. He was able to translate a few words and eventually full sentences from the manuscript. However, while this discovery was hailed as significant, experts in ancient Hebrew quickly expressed skepticism. They argued that Hartig had taken liberties with the language and that his translations were questionable at best. Experts from across the field have criticized Hartig's work, pointing out several inconsistencies and outright errors. According to these scholars, while there may be a superficial resemblance between some of the Voynich characters and Hebrew, the connections are far too tenuous to be considered definitive. Furthermore, they argue that Hartig's interpretation of the manuscript sentences doesn't hold up to linguistic scrutiny. This isn't the first time a researcher has claimed to have solved the mystery of the Voynich manuscript, only to be met with criticism. In fact, over 60 different solutions have been proposed over the past century, and each one has been debunked in turn. It seems that every new attempt to decode the manuscript only adds more questions to the puzzle. In 2019, David Cheshire, a researcher from the University of Bristol, put forth the theory that the manuscript was written in a long-lost language, one that predates modern English and Spanish. His hypothesis was that the Voynich manuscript was the missing link between these modern languages and their ancient predecessors. This eureka moment, as Cheshire described it, quickly made headlines. However, his theory was swiftly debunked by experts, who pointed out numerous flaws in his research. A similar situation occurred in 2017, when television writer Nicholas Gibbs made international news by claiming that the Voynich manuscript was a women's health manual. According to Gibbs, the text was written in Latin abbreviations, and the illustrations of women in bathtubs were meant to represent medical treatments. While the idea of a medieval health manual was intriguing, Latin experts soon dismissed Gibbs' claims, calling his translations nonsensical. Although the content of the Voynich manuscript remains a mystery, its history is a bit clearer. Through carbon dating, historians at the University of Arizona determined that the manuscript was created sometime between 1404 and 1438. The style of the illustrations, the pigments used, and the calfskin parchment all point to northern Italy as its likely place of origin. The manuscript first appears in historical records in the late 16th century, when Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II purchased it. From there, it passed through the hands of various alchemists and scholars, each hoping to unlock its secrets. At one point, the manuscript vanished for over 250 years, only to resurface in 1912 when it was acquired by a Polish book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich. And so, the Voynich manuscript remains an unsolved puzzle. A tantalizing enigma that has stumped some of the brightest minds for centuries. Was it a hoax, a lost language, a glimpse into the knowledge of a forgotten civilization, or perhaps something even stranger? Whatever its origins, the manuscript continues to capture imaginations, fueling debates and inspiring new generations of researchers to take up the challenge of decoding it. Who knows, maybe one day, the secrets of the Voynich Manuscript will finally be revealed. Until then, we're left with a mystery that, much like the stars in its astrological section, remains just out of reach.